Pada, beautiful. God bless you. Thank you for chanting. Time now for Aparoksh Anubhuti. Today's shloka is number 107. Okay, let's chant it. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha yanmonam yogi gamyam tadbhajet sarvada buddha. The wise sage should ever remain in that silence or mauna from which mind along with speech returns without comprehending it. And this state of silence within can be attained by meditators or yogis. So we have already done 3 sadhanas that the Nidhi Dhyasak needs to practice. Today is the 4th sadhana. And as you probably have guessed by now, the 4th sadhana is Maunam. Maunam meaning maun or silence. So this is quite a difficult sadhana to keep silent, mainly because we have so many thoughts continuously in our mind and they are very active. I believe that there are 60,000 thoughts that we get in a day, and we have a need to share those thoughts. We have a need to express ourselves. So keeping maun, keeping silent is not a very, very easy sadhana to do, but it's an important sadhana because it allows our mind to practice chintan. Instead of our thoughts continuously expressing outwardly, bahar mukhi, it stays within, and through practice, through training, we are able to use our mental energy for chintan. Now, many people do perform the sadhana of Maunam, and in many different ways, which you are familiar with. For example, some people decide that one day in the week or one day in a fortnight or maybe one day in a month, they will stay silent, maybe from this time to this time or for the whole day. Or some people think of keeping silent for 9 days of Navratri, or some people will think for 1 month of some festival. So that is one way of practicing Maunam, very nice way. Then some people, another way, let's say, of practicing Maunam is by practicing the triple filter test. So you do not open your mouth, you do not speak until and unless whatever you're going to say is you have made sure it is truthful. You have made sure that whatever you're going to speak it in a pleasant way, soft way, nice way. And whatever you're going to speak, somebody is going to listen, right? So whatever you're going to speak should be useful for the one who is listening. And my dear, if you try to have these 3 conditions met every time you open your mouth, you probably will not be opening your mouth very often to speak. And this is one way of maintaining Maunam. This is a way of, we call non-violent communication. Now there is another way of another way of practicing Maunam, which is not a non-violent communication, but it is a very violent communication. Silence is a violent communication, meaning some people use silence to maintain Cold War. I'm not speaking to you. No matter what happens, they have had some misunderstanding. They have had some fight. Now you just keep shut and you refuse to communicate with the other person. This is a form of silence, but it is a violent communication. It's hinsak. So when you are young and a small child, you do hinsa, you do violence with your hands and your legs. And when you grow adult, you do violence with your speech, vak. Either you do violence with your speech in anger, or you do violence with your speech by not speaking to anyone. So these are the different ways that a person practices Maunam. Now in Viveka Chudamani, in Shlok 367, Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya gives the first step of yoga. Which sadhana would be the first step of yoga, and he calls it control of speech. So this is the very initial sadhana that a sadhak needs to do to be able to control his speech, and all the methods which I have said of keeping silent on one day, some festival day, doing chintan, maintaining silence for a few hours in a day, or using the triple filter test. These all are the ways of practicing control of speech as the first step of sadhana. But here we are talking about a nididhyasan, about a nididhyasak who is in the fourth stage of sadhana. So these very practices of Maunam cannot be applying to a nididhyasak. So what is Maunam as a sadhana for a nididhyasak? So here, Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya in Aparoksh Anubhuti gives two meanings for Maunam. So today we'll see the first one. So Bhagwan says that for a nididhyasak, Maunam is practicing the Maunam of Brahma. Okay, you heard me right. Practicing the Maunam of Brahma. What exactly could that mean? So, let's see. Brahma, you know, that supreme being is always silent. Brahma does not have any organs of action. That means no organ of speech. He cannot speak. It cannot speak. Brahma cannot speak. Brahma does not have any organ of perception, no ears. So Brahma also cannot hear. And if Brahma had organs of perception or action, who would Brahma talk to? And who would Brahma listen to? Because Brahma is all-pervasive. There is only Brahma. There is nothing but Brahma. Therefore, Brahma is in Maunam, neither speaking nor in listening. So to speak, you have to, for speech, you need a speaker. And for speech, you also need a listener. But for silence, opposite of speech, for silence, you neither have to be a speaker, and here you have to also neither be a listener, because Brahma is neither speaking nor listening. So to be practicing the Maunam of Brahma means neither being a speaker nor being a listener. So what exactly does it mean to practice the Maunam of Brahma? Does it mean that I cannot utter any word, I cannot create any sound, I cannot create shabda? And does it mean that I cannot even be receiving any sound? I cannot receive any shabd, not create sound, not listen to sound, not receive sound, not create sound. Not possible. Not possible, right? Because wherever you go in sansar, even let's suppose you decide I will not speak ever, you will still be receiving sound. Even if you go into a vast desert where nothing is there, there also you will listen to the sound of the wind. And if that is also not there, you will be listening to the sound of your heartbeat. So what is the true meaning of practice the Maunam of Brahma? It means be like Brahma. Be like Brahma means what? Even without having Aparoksh Anubhuti, have the firm nishtha of aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. So the Nidhi Dhyasak, who's practicing the sadhana of Maunam, he does not have to be silent and not speak for one day. He does not have to be silent and not speak for 9 days. He doesn't have to be silent and not speak on special occasions. For the Nidhi Dhyasak, Maunam means being in the bhava of Aham Brahmasmi, even while speaking, even while listening to someone else speak, continuously having the nishtha, Aham Brahmasmi. That is the meaning of Maunam for a Nidhi Dhyasak. So here we do sadhanas for what? We do sadhanas for knowing Brahma, for understanding Brahma. So in this shloka, Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya gives us one warning, one caution. He says, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. So don't use your mind and your speech to understand Brahma. You don't need mind, you don't need speech to understand Brahma, to know Brahma. Meaning, see, the mind and the organs of perception, as well as the organs of action, can only operate in the realm of sansar. That is its range of operation. When we try to use the mind or the organs of perception or organs of action to go beyond the realm of sansar, means to go into the state of Brahma, Bhagwan says they will simply return to sansar without understanding what Brahma is. So, man or thoughts cannot know Brahma. Organs of action cannot know Brahma. Organs of perception cannot know Brahma. Therefore, trying to use these faculties which have a limited range of motion is not the way to go towards Aparoksh Anubhuti. Therefore, what should a Nidhi Dhyasak do? Practice Maunam. Which Maunam? Maunam of Brahma. Be in the constant, firm nishtha. Aham Brahmasmi. If Aham Brahmasmi, then I will always be in that bhava of Brahma, whether somebody is speaking, whether I am listening, or whether I myself am speaking. So this is the first way of being in the practice of Maunam. More, the second meaning of Maunam, I will tell you next Thursday. Till then, try to practice this one. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om Arpanam. Jai Gurudev. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you Sampada for chanting. Thank you Zoom team. God bless you all. See you tomorrow for Bhakti.
Pranam.
Thank you,
Good night, all.
Pranam.
God bless.
Pranam. Thank you, Dai.
Pranam.
God bless.